Right, this is the first match of the second round of the tournament. Avalon and Marsh, the Terrible Two, versus So Sorry to Wake You. They played by Uni and Steve. We have seen Uni and Steve's fleets before. In the first round, however, Team 1, the Terrible Two, we haven't seen their fleet yet, as they got a bye in the first one, as their opponents no-showed. So it'll be interesting to see what the fleet they brought.
Because they don't have an after-action report to really see what's going on. The Death Ball
No
is
one's
alive
seen
well.
their fleets, although they did say in the pre-match chatter that it was frigate fleets. So that'll be interesting to see. Be interesting to see if they can take on, because I know they've got a heavy cruiser and a solo on So Sorry to Wake You's side.
Yeah.
As well as a line ship mass driver.
How it goes, yeah.
Was it a Cello and CLs? I thought there was an Axford as well, but I could be mistaken.
If we're talking about Uni's bringing 3 CLs, and yeah, they don't have a Axford, at least not on my list.
My mistake. There's the Ocello at least. So many drive plumes on the other side.
Yeah, on both sides.
Two groups of 5 and one group of 8.
Yeah, that is a lot of ships. That's
9 ships for each player.
for each of them. Wow.
Avalon has 8 frigates and 1 guided missile frigate. You could use the in-game designation for a guided missile frigate. And as you can see, it is equipped with... Yep, it just means guided missile. And as you can see, it is in fact equipped with 10 S3H missiles. Well, S3 missiles. Let me check if they're S3H. Yeah, they are S3H. Kybers.
It's going to be interesting to see what these Kybers are capable of here. Yeah, they look uniform on the frigate there.
There is a floodlight frigate in Marsh's lineup to cut through any jamming. Otherwise, they are all pretty much standard outfit of 320s and 120s.
It looks like they have a radial comms jammer, and the Ancient Snake and the Venom are hugging each other. Very cute. Very adorable.
One Sarissa frigate. One blanket
they have
frigate.
Nice names for you. They even tell you which ones are E-War. They really labeled them for us over here in the gun designer. Just goes to show you, top tier players when they play swarms, try to make it easy on themselves. Even Marsh is bringing some missiles.
And indeed, Uni with the 320 CLs with the missile backpack on one of them.
Look at that. These are some interesting fleets. I know I'd be scared to face them. Luckily,
I think Steve's going to have a particularly hard time against these frigates because OSP do not have RPF.
That is very true. RPF should make pretty quick work, but Steve is bringing an Ocello at least, so HE might help a little bit, but you're right. The lack of RPF is going to be pretty killer.
I think it's like 25 or 30 pen, I think, off the top of my head. It's more than enough to challenge a frigate. It can challenge destroyers as well.
The pen on 320 RPF is 30 centimeters.
Well, there you go. Plot has better memory than I do. I know it can pen voxels at certain angles, so that makes sense.
It'll also be able to pen this Ocello, but hopefully the Ocello plays smart and does some bow tanking there. But look at these guns.
On flank, as you can see, the engines taking damage. The frigates are already visible, that R550 spotting them.
Well, that's what you're gonna get when you fight.
OSP, yeah.
Yeah. What do they have in the form of PD? They got a Sarissa Frig.
And pretty much everything's armed with either stone walls or they each have a Sarissa frigate.
Are those stone walls in the back mount, or are they?
120s on
Those are
the
120s.
those are
I can
120 dual
barely
purpose.
tell them apart.
Stone walls have 4 barrels, the 120s only have 2.
Gotcha. So it looks like March's fleet has a bit better PD. They're definitely focused their PD versus hybrid missiles with the Sarissas. You think maybe the stone walls might help a little bit, but
RPF does fairly well at PD as well, especially the 320mm. Don't forget they have 320mm RPF as well as the 120mm.
That's true. I forget that. But 320 RPF, while effective, the rotation speed of the turrets is slower. So
plus, they only actually have 6 missiles to worry about because only one ship on the enemy side even has missiles.
Is it true? Only
Shots
Uni
out from the
6 missiles?
yeah. He's got 6 missiles in the backpack of one of the CLs, and that's their only missiles on that team.
Okay, this will be a gunfight then.
One hit to Sophromo. Sophrodine? Whatever it's called.
Sophrosine. Sophrosine? I don't know. Cool name.
Mass Driver's opening up with support from their R550, R400. Not quite sure what the track quality is right now, but they are trying to blanket jam back, but they're probably not in range currently.
It looks like Bloodhound tracks. Probably boosted accuracy Bloodhound tracks. Just with the...
Only 2 hits so far. Sorry, 3 hits on that frigate. No significant damage. I say that, that's a lie. It lost the micro-reactor, yeah. It might not be able to fire its Sarissas anymore.
Exactly.
Or at least not all of them, anyway. There are no restores on these frigates either.
Looks like Steve's just sitting in reserve. He's got his little jamming shuttle. I love the little double bellbird jamming shuttle. It's so hard to counter.
Getting the frigates behind the rock so that the mass drivers can no longer hit them.
I wonder what they're going to do about this frigate jamming. Do they have a lot of it? They have one that has 4 blanket jammers, and then...
I mean, like Steve's side, so sorry to wake you's side, is mostly their way of countering jamming is to have the long-range bullseye R550 outrange the jamming.
That does look like what their plan is for sure. Do a little bit of offset tracks just to keep it out of... But you see some wonderful maneuver here. I guess they know that they're going to be outranged.
Yeah, the spotting tug is, well, the R400 one is anyway. Was briefly. R550 was not spotted.
Oh, interesting. That's true. I guess he's going to pull that back. I wonder what they're going to think of that track. They're going to think it's a serious threat.
Neither side willing to close the range right now. Don't want to push over through the open against the mass drivers.
Definitely true. It's gonna be interesting to see how.
That said, they're only just outside of blanket range, so if they close the range just a little bit, they could silence the mass drivers once and for all by keeping them locked out with the blanket jamming.
They definitely could. They're just going to have to commit, and they haven't seen any missiles yet. So maybe they do know that the enemy's got a lot of guns, right? They've seen the.
Avalon's team should be well aware of what the opponent has because everyone's seen their opponent's side from the first round. Meanwhile, Steve's side will be a bit in the dark as to what they're up against right now, because no one obviously saw the Terrible Two's fleet in the first round because they got the bye. Mass driver ship rolling for some reason.
That spotter getting spotted again. I wonder when
Frigates are pushing down low.
550 back. Oh, they've been spotted.
Steve might be regretting rolling the mass driver ship now, because now it's got to roll back on target.
True, but it looks like it's coming up relatively quickly. I forgot he had 2 of these mass driver bulkers. They are floating and committing. No jamming has been done yet.
Oh, they are jamming. It's not currently successful jamming.
Yeah, no jamming
as they are out of range. Looks like they're just out of range.
Yeah, it looks like they just got into range for maybe a spyglass, because that. Well, no, it's possible that the larger radar rapport of mass drivers has just caused them to be spotted by theoretically shorter range radar. These tracks do not seem as...
I think the R550 isn't jammed out right now, but the R400 might be.
That's possible.
Cycling Battleshore on and off to keep the blankets up and going.
Floodlight is spotting some. Oh, and
missiles away.
Volley of missiles. Kybers and sweepers simultaneous. They've got coordinated
anti-missiles coming out from the tugs.
Oh, they're home on jamming. It looks like they might have been jammed and are starting to go. I don't know how. Oh, they must have been jammed and been outside of the sprint speed radius there.
Looks like these might have been command missiles because they lost the track and they didn't stage.
It's possible. Yeah, maybe they got. Did they? Yeah, because it looks like the Kyber missiles were home on jamming, and the sweepers must have.
The blanket kill ship just took a big hit from the mass drivers. It's lost one of the blanket mounts, and it's lost.
Oh, yep.
It's lost 2 blankets, 2 radar panels now.
They are identifying that jam. Oh, and here come Avalon's got a big jamming ship too. I didn't see.
Not the most favourable map for this encounter because they can keep the range open and use the mass drivers to their advantage.
True, but you gotta think for a second that this is pretty scary for Team So Sorry to Wake You, just seeing so many tracks and knowing that.
Oh, well, they're not seeing them anymore. They've lost the tracks. The blankets are now in range.
Oh wow! Look at that. That's gonna be. This is gonna be where they close the gap here. They have enough jamming to probably keep them all under cover.
Blankets are definitely now in range, although they are now on cooldown.
I'll say this till the cows come home, but the best anti-jamming solution is ARAD missiles. That's it. Right, just jam and send your own ARADs, because even if they turn off the jammers, they're going to go hit something most of the time.
Frigates once again visible, because not all the jammed blankets are off cooldown at the moment.
Oh wow, looks like
RPF flying out from the CLs.
Oh, now, if the CLs can get a track, which is going to be pretty tough, but they're going to... Oh, you know what they're doing? They might be firing on the jam line of bearing with RPF, and just knowing that...
Potentially, or they're trying to get parallax burn through. That could be also the intent.
Could be too. Yep, they're getting some tracks up.
They are firing at one of the tugs that's just trying to get an off-angle line on the enemies.
I think they realize that if they can take out this Bloodhound tug, they can get rid of much of the...
Yep, they've hit the Bloodhound tug hard enough that it's no longer giving tracks on them.
Look at that.
320 RPF from the frigate swarm, chewing through that Bloodhound tug.
But they're taking their own damage in turn from RPF. Looks like the Potter's Boy's already lost most offensive capability from its larger guns. Oh, Poster Boy, I said Potter's Boy. The Mint theory, the guided missile frigate has lost...
R550 ship down below is not in the jamming cone, and it's also not being targeted for attention yet. So it is currently relaying tracks to the enemy, although they are obviously far less accurate tracks than what R400 would have been able to provide.
Oh, for sure, but you gotta think for a moment that even at this point, I would fire on those tracks with 320 RPF. I'd fire on one of the center tracks and just imagine that RPF is going to...
RPF penetrating the... They are starting to shoot at the... looks like the mass driver ships are being the ones to focus at the moment.
Turning it around. Oh, they're not firing RPF. Maybe they don't know the penetration of 320 RPF and how...
Well, they briefly fired RPF and now they've switched back to regular shells.
Yeah.
Jamming doing a good job at the moment. They are on track for some of them, but it's not accurate tracks by the seams of things.
Great thing about frigate fleets is
that said, the CL should be able to provide some support here, just even if it's just RPFing burn through tracks, but they don't seem to be trying at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're panicking now. They've got to start firing on something.
RPF from the CL is finally going out. Couple of RPF splashes on the Rumor, nothing significant.
A spotlight ship, not necessarily a jamming ship. Oh, it looks like they're just missing the jamming ship, but they put the jamming ship
almost
in the
certainly
back.
Firing on burn through tracks at the moment.
Oh, you think? Okay.
They could do with knocking out that R550 tug. That would give them a lot more. Yeah, they're switching fire to the R550 tug as I speak, actually. The R400 tug explodes. A ball of fire. For some reason I didn't hear any audio for that, but might just because I wasn't close to it. think it's the 120s that are shooting the... Oh no, it's 120s and 320s. Damage starting to mount up on the tug now. Tug is offline.
But I think it did its job here.
Tug is officially deceased. And with that, their ability to get off angle tracks is severely reduced. Although they do seem to be able to get a lock on one of the frigates right now.
Oh, they're sending missiles over to it. That's how much they hate it, even after it's dead. Look at that. Got some weave on these sweepers, so if you don't jam them successfully, they're gonna weave at you. Oh, and they turn around quick. They must be comms, like you said.
That makes sense, because that'll be why they lost track earlier.
Yeah, I don't know of any
focusing the mass driver ship at the moment.
That turns that quick after a miss.
One mass driver ship has already been killed.
I think they're realizing the mass drivers might just be good distractions, and they're trying to pull jamming away from the main fleet at this stage in the game.
Second mass driver ship probably won't last very long under this fire, just because it has virtually nothing in the way of damage control, just a couple of rapid teams, and that's it.
So tell me, Tempest, we're on the same team. Which one would you rather? Which one of these fleets would you rather see in the finale?
If I had to fight one of these fleets, it would probably be Steve's fleet. I think Steve's fleet's probably less of annoying to deal with. Frigates played well are very annoying to deal with. As you can see, they've only lost one frigate so far, and most of their ships aren't even particularly damaged. The OSP fleet is mostly helpless against these. It's really the 320 CLs they have to worry about.
That's true. I would agree. The RPF is really what's gonna win the day here.
Like, the only threatening thing right now from the Steve's fleet is the 320 CLs. If they can skirt around those, it looks like they might be pulling back a bit at the moment, or at least trying to group up again.
You're discounting the player who's actually running the CLs. Don't forget, Steve is the OSP player. It's Uni that's the CL player there.
At this point, the frigates could probably pull back, play goose chase like the rest of the 20 minutes, and on judges' decision, they'll probably win it just because they've taken out more stuff. That would be the safest way to win this. Because at the moment, if they want to push in, they have to push in against 320 CLs, which is not going to end well for them.
I could agree with that. That's kind of a gamey way to play the system.
I mean, they're ahead right now. They might as well maintain the lead. If they push in, they might win, they might not.
You gotta wonder what a judge's decision would say to these damaged ships that never really had offensive capability to begin with. How would you count that?
As it stands right now, Avalon's lost one ship, Mark hasn't lost any, Steve's lost 3. Very likely to lose a 4th. If he's not careful.
Yeah, I will say that a frigate swarm would make my fleet pretty upset when I started dumping rounds of missiles into ships that ships that were already dead.
at this point, unless they're trying to actually capital K kill that mass driver line ship, they can pretty much ignore it because it's never going to be able to fire them again.
It's got a mass driver left, right?
Yeah, but it probably doesn't have the power to fire it.
Even just one, huh? Yeah, you could be very right there. That thing was relying on a boosted reactor and extra light reactors and energy regulators. I'm surprised he wasn't able to mount more plant control centers just because those are
Oh, it is
more
dead.
efficient.
Officially dead. It's been CIC'd.
Oh, look at that.
Second mass driver line ship down. Eventually. It does have reactor overload on it. Oh, well, they definitely want to make sure it's dead because they're sending out S2H after it.
Oh.
Probably wanted to save those for the CLs, but too late now.
Well, you got to think maybe they're confident they'll be able to deal with the CLs when the time comes, and they just want to secure the points for the tournament. Oh, they've stopped firing. They've seen the life pods. They've marked it dead.
They are switching fire to the jamming shuttle, it looks like, that has been crippled for a while. Still taking RPF fire from the 320 CLs.
I believe that he's fired those missiles before, and he has a number of missiles locked up in one of the destroyed launchers.
Uni is the one with the CL. He only has the backpack on one of the CL at the moment. He's got six missiles in total.
When Uni will fire the missiles. Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I wonder.
Oh, you got two launchers underneath, my bad. I somehow missed those. Forgot about those. Yeah, 5 in each of those.
Let's see. What are they packing in there?
It's 16 S3H.
Oh, they're command guided. So I think the issue here
are they command
is
guided?
That,
Did you check the log?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and looks
probably
like
having an issue getting any tracks to fire them at them.
Yeah, I think if he does manage to get some tracks, he'll be able to pick his targets with relative impunity here. But he still has to power through and get him. Maybe he's waiting for a closer...
If this goes to a judge's decision at the moment, it's definitely a win for the frigates.
It is. Uni's going to have to pull something out, because right now they're not even able to see the frigates.
See, if we happen to have to fight these, we're going to have the similar problem. Your fleet doesn't have RPF because it can't, it's an OSP fleet. My fleet does have RPF, and that's going to be the one that's going to have to take these frigates down.
Well, you gotta think.
You do have home on jam missiles, don't you? Though.
I do have anti-jamming missiles, which should help us see these enemies a bit better.
Well, we have to fight Cake first and somehow defeat the S3H spam.
That's true. That's going to be a whole nother thing. I forget that we're joined here by Cake, and he's listening to our commentary, and I'm giving away our state secrets here.
It's fine. Everyone by this point probably knows what our fleets are. And the only people who would have had a mystery is the Avalon and Marsh's fleet because they got the buy in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Heck of a buy for the first round. I mean, I guess you do want some good players to get a buy, but theoretically they were able to design their fleet after they saw everyone else's fleet, which can be a bit of an advantage here.
Tends to happen when your opponents for the first round don't show up, I guess.
Yeah.
Do they have parallaxes on these CLs? They gotta have parallaxes on these CLs, right?
You gotta hope.
Yeah, they got parallax. Parallax on that one. Looks like only the lead one has a radar. Two of them have parallax. The third one has no radar. Well, that one's not going to be doing much the rest of this game. That got hit pretty hard.
Uni's missile ship just got taken out.
It's totally not taken out, but it's pretty hurt.
It's pretty hurt, and it's starting to take some.
It's lost one of the programming buses as well, so if it does fire missiles now, it's going to be able to fire less of them.
Yeah, command missiles, they can give and they can take, right? The fact that you can't fire them blindly means that you can't even fire them on lines of bearing for jamming.
Oh, well, dodge those missiles.
Yep. Either they're out of RPF, or it's just the.
I am quite glad that if we do fight these guys, I at least bought quite a lot of RPF.
Good. Yeah, 320 RPF, man. It can pen everything on the Acello roster except for cargo feeders.
Yeah, they're out of RPF. So. The issue they're having at the moment is they don't actually have any RPF to fire. One of them has 4 whole rounds of RPF, and the other 2 have none. One has 18 rounds, sorry, and the last one has. And the last one has 209.
209. It's obviously been running through them slower since it only has 3 guns versus the 5 of the others. Yeah, I think if I were them, I would have used all my RPF on firing just like general jamming lines of bearing and hoping for the best. Oh yeah, it has been keeping that heading maintained pretty well for being surrounded, but in come these missiles.
Now it's getting missiled.
These HEKPs.
Now the power tanking has unfortunately been to its detriment, because it is. Look at all that scarring on the side of that ship.
Yeah. It does look like it still has a CIC because it's got a backup basic CIC. But outside of that, it is hurting. You got to think that Avalon and Marsh saw the rules of this game and then said, how can we mount the most of this broken gun in their fleet as possible?
I mean, if they were purely trying to min-max 320mm guns, they could have gone for CLs. CLs can. Well, CLs in this rule lineup, the Vauxhalls can bring a lot more firepower in terms of 320s.
Well, they can bring 5 guns, right? Per unit.
And they can buff them quite a bit more.
Oh, they could buff them more. But I think the extra redundancy.
I have 320 DDs in my fleet, which I'm sure you probably have seen, Cake. Or you mean in this battle specifically?
I think he just means for the tournament in general, but
Oh, full DD swarm, I guess. problem is everyone goes with DDs for the beam, and you're not allowed to bring the beam, are you?
No.
Oh, well, Marsh does lose his first frigate. So finally some missiles out from the Uni's CLs. I think decoys popping. Oh, they're firing at them with the dead frigate. That's an oopsie.
That is an oopsie. I think he's remembering his old maximum on those with the programming channels, but he's lost a bus, so he's down to I think he's down to 4 missiles per volley, maybe. So
on a CL, it's base 3.
Yeah, it's base 3. So, and I think he's got 1 regular there. I think he's using this Rockwell. I think because they're not. I wonder where the jammer is on Marsh's side.
And Solo is limping along at 2 meters a second.
Hey, but it's still alive, and it's got.
Looking like this will go to a judge's decision, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a particularly contested decision at this point.
No, you gotta give it up for Avalon and Marsh. They saw these fleets and they knew exactly what to take. But I wouldn't say that Steve or Uni played particularly poorly. I think they definitely had him in the first half. I'm not gonna lie, right? If they were able to maintain that bloodhound
until they took out that bloodhound, it was pretty even.
Yeah.
Had they been able to keep that bloodhound safe, I think we'd have seen a bit of a different story here. But
you see Steve firing on a lifeboat, because I think that's the only track he can get. Oh, that's
war crimes there, Steve.
Yeah, just a couple of war crimes.
At this point, just fire whatever you have at the jam LOBs and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Hope for some luck to shine on you. Maybe you'll get some lucky hits, knock out the jammers.
Looks like Marsh has taken relatively less ammo than Avalon's fleet, just in general.
Marsh did bring more missiles in the form of S2H.
Oh, that's true. There you go.
Bringing 32 S2H instead of the 10 S3H that Avalon had.
You gotta love that 320 mod.
I mean, I think this, even with just regular 250s, it would have been mostly the same story.
The bulkers might have lasted a bit longer, but I think you might be right.
250s after the post OSB buffs are hella good.
What are the OSP buffs you're talking about?
So 250 rounds got buffed AP pen, they got buffed damage, HE got buffed damage.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're pretty much on par with 320s in a lot of cases, but with a higher rate of fire. Particularly against OSP or light ships in general, 250s are incredibly good. They're not as good against like heavy cruisers and battleships and stuff, but they can still do good work against them. And in this campaign, this tournament, sorry, we're not going to be seeing any battleships, and even heavy cruisers aren't going to be particularly numerous.
I think what we're seeing now is just the last 5 minutes of a match of Nebulous. You know, just classic. As the self-designated color commentary guy,
Oh, you and I have heavy cruiser, I think, like Cake. You've got a missile CH, I've got a CH. Did you forget your own heavy cruiser, Cake?
yeah, I definitely think there's still a place for Axfords in the tournament.
Blacklight, I think their team has an Axford and a Cello. Surprised Raw didn't bring in an Axford, to be honest. Heavy ships tend to be his stick.
Absolutely.
Did you make him bring CLs? CLs and DDs. No. That Othello is having a very bad day. Well, given the amount of time left and the fact that I don't think they're going to be able to kill all these ships in that time, this will go to a judge's decision, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty clear-cut decision.
I think you're right about that.
Will be interesting to see Naya's container liner fleet again.
I don't know how that works. But
well,
somehow
it worked well enough
right?
to go the first round.
Yeah, well enough to get through the first round. I will be forever astounded by Niall's ship design, because to me it never looks like it's going to work, and yet he puts up numbers. The numbers don't lie, right? And he says he's like, I have like a short range direct fire brawling cargo container liner, and I
Well,
thought he was
if
a
we
fool
do end up
and
fighting
crazy.
him, hopefully I'll be able to get introduced as the business and some HKP missiles.
Oh, hopefully, yeah. I intend to introduce that
Or if
feeder
Small
to.
Cake beats us in the next round, perhaps Small Cake will introduce us as the business and some HKP missiles. Hey, Cake.
Oh, perhaps, yeah. That should do some quick work if you get it. Oh, Cake's worried about our PD. I mean, that's not an idle fear, right? We do have a lot of soft kill. Just because I think we looked at the restrictions on point defense. Exactly.
That's fine. My fleet's ANS. It has active decoys.
Exactly. We can shut off those radars. Let those active decoys take the bait.
To be fair, most of the missiles they fired at us in the first round were active ARAD, and as you saw,
Yeah,
none of them really hit.
But
I think I got hit twice that entire
volleys.
round.
I think Cake's got volleys of at least 6, if not 8. I think on that.
Oh yeah, Cake's missiles are a lot scarier, especially as Cake's missiles are all S3H for the most part as well.
Yeah.
S2H you can shrug off, like, I'm pretty sure you were firing 8 or 9 in the first round. Trying to keep these CLs alive.
Decision, but
yeah, using the rocks to keep them alive. It can be, because you can usually get away to, but like if you're using a HEKP missiles, you get a good bow strike or like stern strike. Like you can get a kill with like 3 or 4 missiles. Well, that will technically require Killsmith's decision, because it is technically a draw, but I don't think there's going to be much of a decision to be made there. Loss of 2 frigates in exchange for basically the entirety of Steve's fleet, and some very badly damaged light cruisers.